What is up, YouTube? What is up, family? I'm about to get schooled on how the Indonesian language works. How it works, how it's put together, how to explain it. The Bahasa. This is Bahasa Indonesia. Because I can imagine how many different slangs and wording and between all the religions and all the cultures and all the tribes, and oh my goodness, there's a lot going on in Indonesia. Very, very busy place. Anyway, this is their language.
Follow Lang Focus on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Bahasa.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Lang Focus channel, and my name is Paul. Today's topic is the Indonesian language, or Bahasa Indonesia, as it's called in Indonesian. Indonesian is closely connected with Malay, so if you haven't seen my video on the Malay language yet, I recommend that you watch that first before you watch this video.
Oops.
Indonesian is based on Malay, though it has evolved and taken on some uniquely Indonesian features. There are about 43 million native speakers of Indonesian and about 155 million second language speakers of Indonesian, mainly in Indonesia, where it's the national language and the sole official language. Why does Indonesian have so many more second language speakers than native speakers? Well, there are hundreds of languages spoken in Indonesia, and Indonesian functions as a lingua franca between speakers of different languages. It's the language of education and of media, and these days everybody learns Indonesian, but most Indonesians still speak a different regional language as their native language. Plus Indonesian, the national language. How was the Indonesian language born? Indonesian is based on the Malay language, which has been a lingua franca of trade and of the elite throughout the Malay archipelago for centuries. The story of Indonesian begins during the colonial period. In the early 17th century, the VOC, or the Dutch East India Company, established a trading post at Batavia, the site of present-day Jakarta, and over the following 3 centuries expanded into other areas of present-day Indonesia. The Dutch East India Company made Malay the administrative language of its trading outpost. In 1799, the Dutch East India Company went bankrupt and the Dutch government took control of the colony. In the late 18th century, the British East India Company had also arrived in the archipelago, and in 1824, a treaty between the British and the Dutch divided the area between the British to the north and the Dutch to the south. In the Dutch colony, the promotion of the Dutch language and education in Dutch began, but only to a limited extent, mostly for the elite. Compared to other colonial powers, the Dutch were not really interested in changing the culture of the colonized people. Their main goal was to facilitate trade. Therefore, since Malay was already a lingua franca that could facilitate trade, there was no reason for them to introduce Dutch as a lingua franca. The Dutch promoted Malay as the language of education, recognizing Real Malay, the classical Malay spoken in the Malacca and Johor Sultanates, as the standard language.
My brain can't handle this kind of information. It's just too much. It's getting just, oof. My brain's like, what? How? Huh? What? More info. Oh my God. Yeah, there's a lot going on here.
This standard form of Malay continued to develop with the abundance of Malay literature in the 19th century, and in the 20th century, Malay linguists published dictionaries and grammars to further standardize and modernize the language.
Ooh.
The Dutch language never became widespread in Indonesia. In fact, in 1940, only 2% of Indonesians spoke Dutch. But even though the role of the Dutch language was very limited, a large number of Dutch loanwords entered the Malay language in the areas under Dutch control. And this is one of the things that made the Indonesian variety of Malay different from other varieties. In the early 20th century, a pro-independence movement arose, and people throughout the Dutch colony began to see themselves as a single people, Indonesians. The term Indonesia was a new term for the archipelago, created by European ethnologists, but adopted by nationalists in the Dutch colony. At the Youth Conference of 1928, young nationalists declared the Youth Pledge, with 3 ideals: one motherland, one nation, and one language. The language they chose was the Indonesian variety of Malay, which they named Bahasa Indonesia. When Indonesia declared independence in 1945, Indonesian was declared the national language of the new country. But why Indonesian? At the time of independence, Indonesian was the native language of only 5% of the population, while Javanese was the native language of over 40% of the population. So why wasn't Javanese chosen to be the national language?
Why?
Well, that would have shown favoritism to Indonesia's largest ethnic group, undermining the national unity of the country.
Wow. See, you guys do not mess around. When you say you are diverse, you are diverse. You guys don't play. Diverse.
But Indonesian, previously known just as Malay, had been a lingua franca throughout the archipelago for centuries, so people in various regions of the country already knew some Malay. It was also a much simpler language than Javanese and could realistically be learned by millions of people as a second language.
I wish I could learn it.
Indonesian turned out to be the right choice, successfully becoming the language of government, education, trade, and communication between people in different regions of the country. Indonesian completely replaced the former colonial language Dutch as the language of public life, and that's something that's very rare in former colonies. Today, Indonesian is still the second language of most Indonesian people, but it's becoming increasingly more common as a native language, especially in the cities. That's because people from all over the country move to the big cities, so rather than speak their native regional languages, they speak Indonesian instead. And some of them get married with each other, and they raise their children speaking Indonesian as their primary language. So, what is Indonesian like? Well, undoubtedly, one of the things that made Indonesian so successful as a national language so quickly was its simplicity.
Simplicity? What? Okay, show me how simple.
If you've seen my video on Malay, then you're already familiar with the simplicity of Indonesian because
I might have to watch this video then, this Malay video.
in its standard form, it's very close to standard Malay, just with some different vocabulary. Here are some features of Indonesian. Indonesian has simple phonology and orthography. In general, one letter represents just one sound. Indonesian has simple SVO sentence structure. There are no case inflections in Indonesian. There is also no grammatical gender in Indonesian. There's no plural form in Indonesian. And
There's no plural form. That's interesting.
plurals are made by reduplication. Reduplication meaning that you repeat the word again.
Are you serious? Wow. You repeat it, and that means several. Interesting. So if you see a bunch of girls instead of a girl, you guys go, hey, look at those girl. Right? Look at those girl. And that means, look at those girls. Right? Something like that.
And perhaps best of all, no verb conjugations. Let's look at a few
He got clapping going on in the background.
Indonesian sentences and we'll identify some of those features.
Mereka sedang memasak telur untuk sarapan.
See, I don't know one damn word in there. Not one. So how is this simple? There's not one word in there I understand.
This sentence means they are cooking eggs for breakfast. Word for word, it's they now cook egg for breakfast.
They now cook memasak. See, the good thing with Indonesian is I think I could pronounce the words. Because he's right. You basically just pronounce the letters. And it works, right? Mereka sedang memasak. Oh, memasak. Tilur untuk sarapan. I mean, this may not be perfect, but, you know, I'm sure if somebody said that to you with terrible accent, you would be like, oh, I understand what he's trying to say. You know what I mean? But how the hell am I supposed to know? See, now I gotta learn that mereka means they. You know, forget it. That's like a whole other, you know, learning a new language. There's nothing simple about that, people.
Breakfast. We can see that this sentence is SVO. As I said before, there are no verb conjugations, so how do we know that this action is happening now? Well, it's because of this word right here, sedang. This is an adverb that indicates that something is happening right now. You can change the tense of the verb by changing this adverb. Here's another sentence.
Mereka sudah memasak telur untuk sarapan.
After changing the word sedang to sudah, the sentence now means they cooked eggs for breakfast. In the past tense, the adverb sudah means something like already and shows that an action has been completed. How about the future tense?
Mereka akan memasak telur untuk sarapan.
Here, akan is the future adverb. Another example.
Seperti saya, dia sering berlibur ke Lombok.
This means, like me, he often travels to Lombok. Word for word, it's like I, he often travel to Lombok. Another example.
Apa kamu mau duduk?
This means, do you want to sit?
Oh, what's the word sit? Duduk?
Apa is a yes or no question marker. So word for word, it's question.
Apa means question. Well, it means I'm question. Oh my goodness. This ain't simplistic.
You want sit?
Duduk. Duduk, sit. Maybe I remember that word.
But apa is often left out in speech. And notice that to express desire, you can just add mau right before another verb. The second verb.
Can't you just say duduk instead of duduk? Can't you just say kamu mau duduk? You know what I mean? See how I said duduk? Like duduk? Like with a question, like you know what I mean? But if I say kamu mau duduk, that just means you want sit. without a question. So I think, yeah, he's right. You could get rid of the apa if you just say duduk instead of duduk. Yeah, I'm teaching you Indonesian.
Doesn't change its form at all.
Yeah.
Another example.
Saya menulis surat untuk teman saya.
This means I write letters for my friend.
Ooh,
Word
saya? Saya is... No. Saya. Saya. There's 2 times they put saya. Where you see 2 times the word in English. Yeah, this is real simple.
for word, it's I write letter for friend I.
What? I. Teman. You are all my temans. See? Teman. Now, I forgot to say goodbye, and I can say goodbye, my friends.
Notice that the word for letters, surat, is the same as the singular form. Also notice that possession is shown by placing a personal pronoun right after a noun. Teman saya, literally friend I, means my friend.
Friend I means my friend. Ooh, maybe I could say temans saya. That means my friends. You are my friends, right?
This makes it quite easy to form possessives. Another example.
Saya tidak suka makan kacang.
This means I don't like eating peanuts.
Kakang is peanuts.
Word for word, it's I.
Saya means I. I have to remember that. Saya means I.
No, like, eat peanut. So we negate a sentence by adding t
Makan. I love makan.
before the verb. And notice that, similar to the word mau, which means want, we can express like by placing the word suka right before another verb.
Kacang sudah dimakan.
This means the peanuts have already been eaten. Word by word, it's peanut already be eaten. The verb dimakan is a passive. Let's take a look at some of the verbs from the above sentences. You can see that these Indonesian verbs have 2 parts, a root in black and an affix in red. Many such affixes that are added to roots to make verbs and nouns. One example, the root
Tulis.
meaning to write. We have
Menulis.
to write,
Ditulis.
to be written,
Tertulis.
to be written,
Tulisan.
something that's written,
Menuliskan.
to write something down,
Oh, well, that.
Penulis.
a writer,
Penulisan.
the process of writing,
Bertuliskan.
to have, written on it,
Bertulisan.
with the writing or words. You can see more examples of
Oh, yeah, that's so simple. This guy's right. This is so simple. Easy. Oh, anybody would learn this in 2 minutes. Are you joking? Is this serious? Is this a joke? Are you guys kidding me? What? There's like 8 million ways to say right.
such affixes in my video on Malay, which functions in the same way. Affixes are the most challenging part of learning
Yeah, that was very challenging.
Indonesian, at least for a lot of learners. But you can make use of that feature, of the roots and affixes, to help you learn new words through their connections with other words. Standard Indonesian really is a simple language compared to other languages, but
No, I don't think I agree.
that's Standard Indonesian, which is normally used as the written language and in formal contexts. The way Indonesian is spoken in daily life is often fairly different from Standard Indonesian. Different varieties of colloquial Indonesian are spoken around the country, and they're influenced by the local native language in that area. These different varieties of Indonesian are referred to as Bahasa Gaul. The Bahasa Gaul of Jakarta is influenced by Betawi, the Malay Creole language that's native to Jakarta, as well as by Javanese and Sundanese, since people from all over Indonesia moved to Jakarta. Let's look at the Bahasa Gaul of Jakarta and see how it differs from Standard Indonesian.
Can I just be lazy and make you guys learn English? That's just so much easier. Why don't you guys just learn, everybody in Indonesia, learn English? This way I could just come over there and there'll be no problems. You know what I mean? Because then, I gotta learn all this. I'm too old. I'm too old, too stupid. I can't. It's too late in my life. So you guys learn English, okay? All right, man. Thank you. All right, man tap. Thanks. Thank you. You guys are the man. Yeah, you guys learn English and we'll be good. And we'll be fine. Okay? English easy. Compared to this, English easy. Except for the English words that all mean different things. Yeah, no, English is complicated too, I know. But I'm too old.
Here's a sentence we looked at before.
Mereka sedang memasak telur untuk sarapan.
Now in Bahasa Gaul,
Mereka lagi masak telur buat sarapan.
the first difference we see is that the word sedang, which indicates present tense, is lagi in Bahasa Gaul.
The first difference I see is there's only two two words that stayed the same: mereka and sarapan. That's it. The rest, everything changed. So no, it's not similar. Oh,
Lagi is also used in Standard Indonesian to mean again or still, but it's not used as a present tense marker like this. Another difference is that the verb memasak is used in its root form masak without the prefix. Then we have a sound difference in the word telur, which becomes like telur, and then untuk becomes buat, which can be used in Standard Indonesian, but the meaning is more like in order to. In Bahasa Gaul, you can use it to simply mean for.
Mereka sudah memasak telur untuk sarapan.
Now in Bahasa Gaul,
Mereka udah masak telur buat sarapan.
here notice that the word sudah is reduced to udah.
Mereka akan memasak telur untuk sarapan.
Now in Bahasa Gaul,
Mereka bakal masak telur buat sarapan.
and here notice that the future marker akan becomes bakal. Another example.
yeah, good luck.
Seperti saya, dia sering berlibur ke Lombok.
Now in Bahasa Gaul,
Kayak gue, dia sering liburan ke Lombok.
the first difference here is that the word seperti, meaning like, changes to kayak. Then notice that saya becomes gue, which is a loan word from Batawi, and berlibur becomes liburan. The root is the same, but the affixes are different.
Apa kamu mau duduk?
In this example, we'll see two variations of Bahasa Gaul. The first variation is a simple, casual sentence.
Kamu mau duduk gak?
Notice that the yes or no question marker apa isn't there. Instead, at the end you see gak, which means no in Bahasa Gaul. So it's like, you want to sit, no? The second variation is used for close friends or people the same age as you or younger.
Lu mau duduk gak?
The second person pronoun is lu, which I believe is a loan word from Chinese.
Bro, this is hopeless. This is for me. This is hopeless. I'm just too stupid. This is hopeless for me. I mean, I watch it and I try to learn maybe one word, but this is way above my brain level.
Which is present in the Batawi Creole language of Jakarta. In this example, let's look at some options for first-person pronouns.
Saya menulis surat untuk teman saya. Saya nulis surat buat teman saya. Aku nulis surat buat temanku. Gua nulis surat
Polite, friendly, intimate. What?
buat teman gue.
In a casual, polite sentence, you use saya, even in Bahasa Gaul. In a more casual, familiar sentence, aku is used. And when aku is used as a possessive, a shortened form is attached to the end of the noun. In a more intimate sentence, gua or gue is used. Also notice that menulis loses its prefix, but it doesn't revert to its root form tulis. Instead, it maintains the nasal sound at the beginning. And one more small difference we can see is that the word for friend, teman, is pronounced more like teman. And another example.
Saya tidak suka makan kacang.
Now in Bahasa Gaul.
Gua nggak demen makan kacang.
Again, here we see the pronoun gua, and we see that the negative tidak becomes ngak, which is related to the word gak, which we saw before.
Forget it.
And in Bahasa
It's hopeless for me. Hopeless.
Gaul, suka sometimes becomes demen.
Ooh, suka. Can I just stick with suka? Suka means like. Suka. Saya. Suka. Taman. I like my friends. No?
And one last example.
Kacang sudah dimakan.
Now in Bahasa Gaul.
Kacang udah dimakan.
Here the only difference is that sudah becomes udah, as we saw before. So you can see that the colloquial Indonesian of Jakarta is fairly different from standard Indonesian, and there are
Yeah.
varieties like this spoken around the country.
That's why it's hopeless.
The influence of the other languages of Indonesia on colloquial Indonesian is one of the things that sets the language apart from other varieties of Malay. Indonesian is definitely a fun language to study, and communicating with Indonesians in their national language and lingua franca is an amazing experience.
That I can imagine. It must be awesome to just be able to speak this language and just, I'm going to Indonesia. I'm just going to go there and just ask anything I want and everybody will understand me. But if my dumb ass goes over there, it's going to be like, hello, me stupid American, me only speak English. Can you speak English? That's what it'll be like if I go there. And they'll be like, yes, you're lucky, you stupid American. We speak English, yes. I'll be like, oh, thank you. Oh, thank God. Man, thank God.
The question of the day for Indonesians: to what extent do you speak Standard Indonesian? And to what extent do you speak Bahasa Gaul? And in what situations? Leave your comments down below. And for learners of Indonesian, what's been your experience communicating with Indonesian people? Do you find the Standard Indonesian that you learn in textbooks to be useful? Or do you feel like you should be learning more of the language as it's really spoken?
I think you just gotta live in Indonesia. That's the best way to learn.
Be sure to follow Lang Focus on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And again, I'd like to say thank you very much to my Patreon supporters, especially the ones right here on the screen, for their monthly pledges. Thank you very much, and have a nice day.
This is one smart mother yucker. You know what I mean? That is one smart mother yucker. Anyway. Like I said, forget it. Hopeless. I'll just try to learn like 3 sentences. This is what I need to know in Indonesia. I need to know where does Harris Skui live? So I got to learn how to say that. Where can I find some delicious Indonesian food to eat? Got to be able to say that. And what island should we visit next? There you go. That's all you need to know. 3 things in Indonesia. You just need to know those 3 things. That's it. And then I think you'll be okay. You'll be all right. You know what I'm saying? You'll be okay. Anyway, I don't know. That looked mad complicated to me. My man said it's simple to learn. That is not simple. You could pronounce the words. I think I could definitely pronounce the words. With some practice, I could definitely pronounce the words. But I'll never know what the hell they mean. All right, anyway, take care. Peace out. Have a good night. Have a good night, my tarans. Tarans? Hold on a second. Hold up. Hold on, people. Hold on. I'm doing it. I don't care. Hold on. Here we go. Indonesia to English. And we're going to put... Oh, wait. No, my bad. My bad. We're going to put English to Indonesia. Okay. Here we go. So we're going to put... Peace out, my friends. Have a good night. Hey, that's not too bad. Okay, ready? Tenang, teman-teman. Teman-teman, because it's friends, plural. See, this dude did teach me one thing. So, tenang, teman-teman. Selamat, malam. I should be able to say that. That's not too complicated. Peace out, my friends. Have a good night. All right, hold up. I'm gonna learn that. I'm gonna learn that just for you guys. Let me just put that over here in my notepad over here, so I know what to say. There we go. We're gonna put what it means. Put it back in my notepad. Where the hell's my notepad? Right here. Notepad. Boom, 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 boom. There we go, people. We're all set now. We good to go. That's it. From now on, I'm gonna say tamang. No, see, I'm already fucking it up. Tenang, teman-teman, selamat, malam.